Hello everyone, today we are synthesizing a thesis statement. So as we begin, let's just clarify our learning goal. The aim is by the end of this presentation, each one of you should be able to synthesize a thesis statement that is concise, specific, and debatable. You've done well in mastering basic essay writing techniques, hopefully by now, and we are going to dive deeper into how to formulate an effective thesis statement. Thesis statements are a crucial part of any essay and or any argumentative piece as you guide the direction of your argument. They should be clear, they should be focused, and they should be argumentative. Remember, your goal is not just to create a thesis statement, but to make one that is concise, specific, and one that encourages debate. This will involve integrating your critical thinking skills and your knowledge of the text. Alright, who here remembers the last time they had to write an essay for an assignment? Can you record that one sentence in your introduction that states the main argument or viewpoint? Yep, that's your thesis statement. Did you realize that your thesis statement has to be more than just an opinion on the topic? We've all had our fair share of essay writing, and one of the key elements that define the direction of our essays is the thesis statement. And our goal today, once again, is to refine it to make sure your thesis is concise, specific, and debatable. So just a quick recap. The word thesis means to put forward, as in your argument. Concise means your thesis gets to the point quickly. It doesn't contain unnecessary words. Specific means it clearly outlines what your point of view is. And debatable is the part where your thesis statement is not just a basic fact or general idea, but something that others can disagree with. I want you to keep these terms in mind as we move into developing and refining your skills in creating thesis statements. Alright, and let's just quickly define the word from our learning objective, synthesize. In the context of writing a thesis statement, synthesize means to combine multiple elements or ideas to form a coherent whole. When you synthesize, you're taking in information that you have understood, analyzed, and evaluated, then constructing a new idea or theory based on this comprehension. So in simpler terms, it's like creating a unique recipe using a range of ingredients. Each ingredient represents, your point of view, your fact, your perspective. So when we say synthesize a thesis statement, we mean you need to combine your ideas, your understanding of the topic, your evaluation, and your critical analysis to form a precise and argumentative statement that sets the course for your essay. Understand? So let's visualize an essay. Picture it as a sandwich. The top slice represents your introduction, your bread, and that includes your thesis statement. Your middle is your filling, which is your body, composed of your paragraphs, 2 or 3 of them, hopefully. Maybe 4, it depends on how you want to approach your essay writing. These are your arguments that support your thesis statement. And the bottom slice is your bread, which is your conclusion, where you wrap up your ideas and you reflect on your thesis statement. Consider this question. How are themes represented in Othello? A concise, specific, and debatable thesis might be Shakespeare's Othello utilizes the themes of jealousy, racism, and deception to provide a critique of the societal norms and power structures in the Elizabethan era. Now, this statement is concise. It states its points clearly without unnecessary words. It is specific. It provides a detailed argument about what the themes present in Othello, and it is debatable. Some might argue about the extent to which these themes represent a critique of societal norms and power structures. So, tick. But here is a negative example, a non-example, if you will. Othello is a play by Shakespeare. This is simply a fact. It's not specific in terms of its argument. You could say it's very concise, but it's not debatable, and it doesn't propose a viewpoint that others can disagree with. Alright, how about this one? Can you identify the thesis statement in the following introductory paragraph? Consider which one is it. Remember, different from topic sentences, which we're about to get into. William Shakespeare's tragic play Othello provides a deep dive into the complexity of human emotions, revealing the destructive power of jealousy. This essay will argue that the characters of Othello and Iago that through the characters of Othello and Iago, Shakespeare conveys the detrimental effects of jealousy on relationships and individual sanity. The themes of trust and betrayal further illuminate the concept that unchecked jealousy can lead to disastrous consequences. Which one is the thesis statement? Your answer should reflect your understanding of what is a concise, specific, and debatable thesis statement. For this activity called Because, But, and So, we are going to deepen our understanding of the concept of thesis statements and promote our critical thinking. So here's how it works. I'll give you the base sentence and you have to complete it in 3 ways. Because is to provide a reason why the statement is true. But is to offer a counter argument or an exception or something that you must, something needs to be added in order to, qualify the statement perhaps. And so is where you describe an implication or consequence of the statement. So your base statement is synthesizing a thesis statement is important in essay writing. So give yourself a moment, pause this video if you need, before I give you an example answer. Alright, let's continue. Your example answers could be because it guides the direction of the entire essay and establishes the main argument or point of view that the writer will be defending, but it can be challenging to craft a concise, specific, and debatable thesis statement that can effectively communicate the writer's perspective. And so, mastering the skill of synthesis is essential for effective argumentative writing and can enhance the quality and clarity of an essay. Now, let's further differentiate between a thesis statement and a topic sentence. Here's the activity. I'll give you 4 sentences. 3 of them are topic sentences, which would typically open up a body paragraph and link back to the thesis. And one of them is a thesis statement, which sets up your overall argument and is typically located in your essay's introduction before your points. So, which one is it? And let's use an essay responding to the question, how are themes represented in The Great Gatsby? Here are your sentences. The theme of the American dream is depicted through the character of J. Gatsby, who is fixated on achieving wealth and status. F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Great Gatsby explores the themes of wealth, love, and disillusionment of the American dream through a complex narrative and diverse character interactions. The theme of love and its complexities is portrayed in the tumultuous relationship between Gatsby and Daisy. And lastly, the theme of wealth is often linked to the character's moral decay and is epitomized by Tom Buchanan's brash materialism. Have a moment to think. Which one is the thesis statement? Ready? The correct answer is sentence 2. This is a thesis statement because it gives an overall view of the argument and introduces the themes to be discussed in the essay. The rest are topic sentences focusing on one aspect of the thesis statement, an individual theme that would be elaborated upon in a body paragraph. Remember, a thesis statement outlines your entire argument, while each topic sentence relates to and supports the argument, but focuses on a specific aspect. Alright, now let's take a look at some questions that actually are from 2022 New South Wales HSC paper 2. So, we are using these to hone in on our understanding of what makes a strong thesis statement. I'll give you 4 thesis statements that relate to the following essay question. Hold on, maybe this one wasn't the 2022 paper. That's alright, doesn't matter. Evaluate how knowledge of the context of John Donne's poetry and the drama Wit by Margaret Edson influences interpretation. Now your task is to identify which thesis statement is the strongest. Here they are. John Donne's poetry and wit are both interesting pieces of work. Understanding the context of John Donne's poetry and the drama Wit by Margaret Edson enriches the reader's interpretation by highlighting the thematic connections between Donne's metaphysical exploration of mortality and Edson's modern confrontation with death and identity. Or John Donne was a poet and Wit is a drama by Margaret Edson. Or John Donne's poetry and wit have themes. Have a moment, think. Which one is the strongest thesis statement? Alright, the strongest thesis statement, once again, is sentence 2. It is specific, it is debatable, arguably could be more concise, but it does articulate the argument that knowledge of the context enriches interpretation. It specifies how this happens by highlighting thematic connections And it is debatable because someone could, potentially argue that context isn't necessary for interpretation. Remember, a strong thesis statement guides your entire argument. It sets up what you'll be arguing throughout your whole essay. It sets the stage for your analysis. It should be a complete thought that is specific, concise, and open to debate. The remaining sentences are factual statements in this list here, and these are either overly vague or they don't really lay the groundwork for further analysis. Remember, just answering a question is not the same as making a thesis. Alright, so now we are going to consolidate our understanding. Choose from any of the 5 activities to do. You can do one of them, you can do 2 of them, you can do all 5 if you want. The whole point is whatever is helpful. So what you could do are write down the definitions of thesis statement, concise, specific, and debatable on flashcards. Use them to, revise for yourself, what your thesis should involve. Or dissect a given thesis statement into its components, identify how it's concise, specific, and debatable. You can either choose any of the thesis statements that we have looked at already, the positive ones that is, or you can look at an example from one, of a past paper. For different essay questions, write possible thesis statements that meet all of the criteria that we've discussed. That's a good activity to do. Analyze 2 different thesis statements for the same essay prompt. Compare their strengths and weaknesses based on our key concepts. Evaluate a series of thesis statements and rank them from most effective to least effective, providing justifications for your choices. That one would involve maybe looking at 3, band 5 or 6 responses, and then you should just identify, once again, the thesis statement and decide which of them was the best, which of them could have been better. So that is an activity to consolidate your understanding. Here is a quiz that you can do to just make sure that you understand what we've looked at. So I'm not going to read the questions to you, but you can pause in your own time. Here's question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4. Sorry, my head is blocking the word wit. And question 5. And if you're ready for the answers, keep watching. The answers are B, C, false, C, and false. Now, here is the next step. It would be good for you to do this as well, or I understand if you kind of want to do it as a mini lesson that follows this one, if you need to take a break. But the next step, besides making a effective thesis statement, is now you need to link it. So in this mini lesson, you are to identify and understand how high-scoring essays use linking sentences in body paragraphs to support a thesis statement. Here are the 3 steps. Number 1, research and collect. There's more than 3 steps, really. Find at least 2 examples of band 5 or 6 essay responses. These can be from past exam papers or school resources. Then identify, highlight, or underline all the linking sentences that connect paragraphs and ideas. Normally, you can find these at the end of a body paragraph. However, sometimes there is a bit of variation. Remember, essay structures aren't always formulaic, and structures are only there to help you. You can always move beyond them once you become capable enough. Analysis. For each highlighted sentence, you could write a brief note explaining how the sentence supports the overall thesis argument, the thesis statement. Consider how the sentence transitions from one idea to the next and how it ties back to the main argument of the essay. And here's the last part. After you analyze the high-scoring essays, reflect on what you've learned about how effective linking sentences can be used. Consider what makes these sentences effective, how do they contribute to the cohesiveness of the essay, how do they reinforce the thesis statement. And lastly, you can draft a body paragraph for an essay response, ensuring you incorporate effective linking sentences that support your thesis statement. And if you really want to aim high, an additional challenge is look for essays that do not use linking sentences effectively, analyze why they're not as effective, and suggest improvements. You could really use your own, past responses from previous assessment tasks if you want to. Remember, don't be critical in the sense of don't feel negative about your past work. but aim to improve so you can be more ready for the future. I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope it helps you to synthesize a effective thesis statement and then link to it. Thanks, bye.